Hello and good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good midnight, just good things, good times, happy times. Welcome, thanks for coming. This is a little live stream about CQ. So I've put on my CQ t-shirt. So yes, today we are going to look at Bitwig and setting it up with CQ. So if you're not aware, if you haven't already gone and grabbed it, for the month of October, this very month, what we're on now, the 15th of October, so there's a couple of weeks left, you can get Bitwig Essentials, which is normally $99 or €99, absolutely free by registering your CQ. So if you have a CQ, this is a bargain. It's beyond a bargain because it's free. Basically, go and sign up, register your product. So it's register my product, Alan Heath, or you can search Alan Heath register, and that should find it, or register, or my CQ or something. There's a bunch of links that will get to it. Put in your serial number, put in your unit, put in your details. Make sure you agree to emails, and then you'll get an email through with a link to a survey, which takes about 5 minutes. So what does that work out at an hour? That's about $3,000 an hour, I think, if my maths is correct. Yeah, so you fill out a little survey, and that's just us asking things about a little bit about you, what you're using it for, what you use the CQ for, what you like about it, what other products you use, so that kind of stuff. And also, there's a little bit at the end. We normally suggest put feature suggestions online on our forum, but there's a little bit at the end as well. If you're like, oh, I really wish CQ did this, and there's a little bit at the end for that. Once you've done that, you will get a code sent through to you, and you can sign up for a Bitwig account, and you can redeem that code as a serial number. You can redeem that in your account, and then you get Bitwig Essentials, and you can download it, and it's free to use forever. So you get it, which is pretty awesome. Max says, no way, I'm first. Awesome. Hey, Keith, how you doing, man? I'm doing great. Thanks, Max. Thanks for coming along. We've got a couple here from South Africa and in India by the looks of it. So what I'm going to do today is go through the setup of the CQ with Bitwig and show you a little bit about how I like to use it, or a fun way I think to use it. And what it's good for, maybe, and I'll show you a little bit of Bitwig, but I should say, big disclaimer, I am not a Bitwig expert. I can tell you all about the CQ here, and I can tell you a bit about Bitwig, a bit of an introduction and how to get it set up and working, but please don't ask me really difficult questions on Bitwig, because I don't want to disappoint you by not knowing. You can go and ask Bitwig. They are wonderful people based in Berlin. All right, let's go on with it. So I like a little setup where you have what I would call a hybrid setup. So you can record stuff in to a DAW. Could be, I mean, there's all kinds of DAWs around, but where Bitwig really excels is kind of music creation, and kind of you can do experimental music with it. You can do pretty standard music with it. Works in lots of different ways. You can record stuff into it as well, so you can record audio directly into it. There is one limitation with Essential, because there's 3 different kind of packages you can get of Bitwig. So there is a channel or multiple record input socket limit, whatever, which you don't get on the bigger one, but it actually matches up really nicely with the CQ, which I'll show you in a sec. And you can also then play audio back out onto separate channels. The benefit of this is that you're using CQ as an interface and a mixer at the same time. You can jam live, so you can do stuff with, well, I've got like just a little synth here, but you can incorporate like hardware synths along with software synths, and it's kind of this nice hybrid setup. I know years ago when I started making music, synths were not all the rage as they are today. And so there was a lot of stuff that was just online, and soft synths became a huge thing. And I think I'd probably credit Dave Smith with bringing it back. He went, no, I'm not doing software. I'm going to do a hardware synth. And I think what's happening now is it's kind of coming back around, because people are realizing, oh, hang on a minute, these hardware synths take a lot of space, and potentially, and they're quite expensive. They can be a lot of fun, but there are some limitations with hardware that you don't get with software. So this is like a hybrid best of both worlds, I suppose. Rahul says, hi Keith, good morning from Los Angeles. Oh, so we've got Los Angeles, we've got India, South Africa. Max, where are you? Where are you, Max Ammo? All right, I'm going to start right from scratch. So we'll just kind of bumble through this together, nice and easy, taking it easy. Let's go with showing you the setup first. So I've got to the side of me here a Mac, and I mean this could go wrong because I'm probably pushing myself here, where as well as driving the computer in front of me, I'm going to drive this computer and the CQ and a synth, and I'll hit this. That's why I put it further away, just so I don't get tempted to play. If I do go silent and into my own little synth world, I'm very sorry. And then I've got CQ here, which I have just set up. So all complete. I'm going to start from an all complete quick setup. Do let me know if you think that this is too bright, blurry or anything, or if it's difficult to read, or if you're using a CQ20B as well, because I have got it hooked up via the app, so we can see stuff on that as well. And then the little synth I've got here is plugged in via USB, which is for MIDI to the Mac. And then for audio, I've got the audio output going into inputs 9 and 10 on the CQ. And then the keyboard here is just plugged in to via USB. So that's just another MIDI input. All right, let's go for it. Let's Bitwig it up. So Bitwig Studio Essentials. Wait for it to load. Come on, here we go. Right, so immediately it's going to throw up. Do you want to do a new project? Do you want to open a previous project? You know the drill, really. I'm going to go straight into setting. In fact, no, I'm not. I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to close it down first because there's a nice way of getting into settings. So from here, this is the main window that you would see when you first connect up. But the first thing we want to do is go into our settings by clicking on the little Bitwig logo at the top and going to settings, and I'm going to go to audio, and I'm going to select my CQ, which is hooked up via USB. And on here, I'm going to say, okay, yeah, CQ18 in, CQ18 out. And down here, I can add input buses and output buses. So these are my buses coming into Bitwig, and I can set these up to be whatever I want. I'm going to just max it out for now, so add some stereo stuff, and I'm not going to worry about what it's patched at the moment. So I can have 4 stereo there, and what's nice about that is it matches quite well. If I go onto my CQ here, I've got these 4 stereo channel assignments here, which I can hook up into it. And you can see here 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So if I did want to do that, I could just go in here and say 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. For now, I'm going to set up my inputs, though, to be direct ins, and I'm going to use half and half. So on the top of the CQ, where we've got these combi inputs and XLR inputs, because I'm using some jack inputs here, so let's say you're using some drum machine synths, whatever, you can plug jacks directly into these. So I'm going to use the first 8 or 4 stereo pairs for a digital return. So they're my outputs from Bitwig. And then I'm going to use the next load as inputs, which I can mix with those. So I've got all of these channels to mix, but I can also send them back into Bitwig, if that makes sense, hopefully. So for now, I'm going to set these up on 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And this at the moment is a synth. So I'm going to just say that's my synth coming in. And you can rename all of these, which makes it a lot easier later on. So 11, 12, and then 13, 14. And 15, 16. So I know that those are coming from the CQ. And then the other way around, I'm going to add some stereo outputs here. So stereo, 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 stereo. And I'm going to have, right, so I've got 8 stereo outputs. Now for the main one, actually, that could just be speakers or headphones. Let's put that on as speakers a minute. And then if I look at my CQ, I want that to come in. That's going to be what I'm going to use for my master. So like my main output from Bitwig. So if I go into the processing screen and I go over here and I go to USB, I could use Bluetooth as well. I'm going to use USB and I go into this screen, it'll tell me sourced from USB SD inputs 1920. So over here, I'm going to say, great, that one comes from 1920. And then I'll just start stacking these up. So I'll say 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, I'm not really using these last ones. In fact, let's just get rid of them for now. Don't need them for now. So I'm going to use those 4 pairs, like I said before, to come in effectively on these channels. And then the 4 inputs are going to come from these channels. Okay, so I want to do everything in stereo. We know that, so let's stereo pair up these inputs. I'm going to also remember to set these to USB input. And then I can just say, yeah, that's stereo, that's stereo, that's stereo, that's that one, this one, that one, that one. Excellent. Max is in Chicago and we'd like to talk about some Wi-Fi stuff. Okay, yeah. So if you need to contact us for anything that I'm not covering here, particularly today, don't know what happened to my voice then. You can contact us via support.alan-heath.com at any time, and that'll contact us directly, get through to our support team, and we can support you with that. So yes, let's have a chat. Let's have a chat about that. Okay, back to setup. Where were we on this one? Right. So I've now got my 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all stereo. But of course, that means that they're all like this, but I would kind of like to have them all on the same screen. So I will set them up as on a custom layer. So control network custom layer. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16. Cool. All right. So going to a custom layer now. Right, so now I can see everything that's going on, and I can see that these have got trim on them because they're coming from USB, and this lot have gain. At this point, I'm just going to mess around and hit my synth a little bit just to set the gain, because otherwise I might forget later. So I could do that from this screen, actually. And I'm going to do auto set and just hit. So has it got an output? Yeah, that is going there. That is 9 and 10. Might need, oh, hang on. It's because I've pressed the wrong button. Hang on one sec. Oh, there you go. Making some noises now. Beautiful. Beautiful stuff. All right. And probably going to leave auto gain on for this, just because if it suddenly starts freaking out and making loads of noise, it will pull back the gain automatically for me. So hopefully I don't deafen you guys. I don't know if this is going to work because there is some noise cancellation going on the stream. But now that I've got some signal here, don't know if you guys can hear that. Doesn't matter if you can't. It will be awful noises that I'm making today anyway. That's the noises I make every day. So standard. All right, so I've got some signal coming in here. Beautiful. And now I want this to go out to Bitwig. So I also need to decide where that signal is going to go out to Bitwig from. So I've got a few options. So the source point is set at the moment to post preamp. So that means it's going to go straight from the preamp and go straight out to Bitwig. I can also take it from post high pass filter, post gate, post insert return, post EQ, post compressor, post MM. For this, I'm probably going to say post compressor, because that includes all of the rest of the processing. So it means that anything that I do in the mixer would also be recorded into Bitwig. Hopefully that makes sense for you as well. Okay, I also got to make sure in this screen that stream mode is in multi-track, because otherwise I'm just going to have a stereo output, which means it would only be the main left to right or whatever's patched in this last one here. So it's set up in multi-track, got it in 96K, post compressor, blah, 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 blah. Pretty happy with that. And then I want these ones, I'm going to set up something for these ones to check that I've got some signal coming back on those. So Back over here. Yeah. I'm happy with all of that. That looks groovy. Okay, and let's just get this first instrument. So I've got some tracks. I've got some tracks on the left-hand side here. If I get rid of the clips bit for a minute, the little loopy things, you can see it looks like a pretty standard DAW, where I'm tracking, time is going from left to right, and I can record stuff in, I can do whatever I want. Just like I can record audio tracks, I can add audio tracks and I can record to them. I can add instruments, I can record MIDI, I can play MIDI out. And that's just as many instruments or tracks or whatever I've got going down there. Excuse me. Another option here is that I can have these little boxes here. And this is a really cool way of making music because you can loop stuff in there and you can then start to build up arrangements. So you could start off by just putting in some little loops and you can jam over the top of them. And then later on, you could record that and make an arrangement and make it into a song. So it's like building, little building blocks. And if you want, you can do it this way as well. So that's those same blocks, but they've been turned around 90 degrees. So that's my instrument 1 now, that's instrument 2. And this is more like a classic kind of mix view rather than arrangement view. So let's put an instrument in there. Let's put in Polymer, because Polymer is a pretty great synth that you get. So this is like an everything synth built in. You get this with Essentials. I also, I'm going to go and quickly check that my controllers, so MPK Mini, that's all working, that's all happy. And actually, that's all I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to do for now. So let's make sure that I've got on Polymer, my input's going to come from the MPK Mini keys. The cool thing with this setup actually is that you can separate the pads and the keys. So I can have my Bitwig actually reprograms my controller so that my pads could do drums, for example, and synth keys, right? And then my output is going to go to, oh, look, didn't name them, did I? So now it's just going to be stereo out. Don't know. Let's go to master first, actually. Let's show you that. Cool. Okay, so that's going to my master output, which, if you remember, I sent to, I can see it just coming up there, USB. So if I change the level there, which is from Bitwig, I can see that it's changing on the mixer. But actually where I want that to go instead is somewhere over here. So that's to USB 1 and 2. So on here, I'm going to say blah, 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 which I think was just the first stereo out. Well, there we go. It's the second one. Beautiful. Right. So now I'm ahead. Got some signal coming in there. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to send that to not stereo 2. I'm going to send it to stereo 3. And of course, I should have renamed this. I should have taken the time. And I'm going to add another track, and it's going to be the drum machine. And I'm going to pop that up there so that my inputs for that come from the pads, and the outputs are going to go to stereo 2, which is where the synth was going before. So now I should have, well, it'd help if I actually loaded some sounds. What should we go for? Classic 808. Why not? Beautiful. Right. So I've got so I've now added in an extra track up here, and I've got drums there as my first track. I've got Polymer as my second track, and then just got an audio track here actually at the moment. So if I'm playing my drums, if I put record on both of these, you can see that as I'm playing pads over here. Oh. And if I play keys, hang on, let's make sure I get this set up correctly. Oh yeah, yep. So there you go. Right, so now I've got both of those in record. I've got got some keys, and I've got some drums. So that's pretty cool. That's a couple of things within Bitwig. Let's see if there's any questions so far. Hopefully not. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use. David says, what's the best SD card to use for recording? Well, the cool thing with SD cards is that they have a standard. So on the CQ, you can use SDHC cards. So make sure they say SDHC, which takes you up to 32 gigabytes. And it should be UHS 1 and class 10. So that's it. One thing I would note though is don't make the mistake of thinking, oh, if I use a UHS 3 card and a class 57 card, whatever, it will be much better, because actually they write in different ways. So the best one is just to match with the specs that are in the user guide and available elsewhere online. So just match them up. All right. Back onto Bitwig and making noises. So I've got some synths going on here on track 1 and track 2, and I'm now going to incorporate my external synth. So we know that that is plugged in over here, coming in on 9 and 10, and I can see it when I hit the keys on it, showing up here. But I want to get that into Bitwig. So if I wanted to, I could just quite easily go into the audio input, select my audio input, which I called synth because I'm smart about some things, and then when I play, if I put it in record, I'm going to turn off the output for a second. So when I play now, I can see that I've got audio coming in, and I could just record that. That's nice and easy. There is another way, however, that I could do this. So I could, instead of having an audio track, I could set it up instead as a hardware instrument, which is hardware, yeah, HW instrument, right. And if I do that, I can say my MIDI output is going to go to the synth. It's going to be on channel 1 because it is on channel 1 at the moment. I'll send it some MIDI clock, why not? And I'm going to return the audio from synth. So that's pretty cool. And now, in theory, if I go back here, I can select, instead of all ins, I'm going to have it from the keys. So now I'm actually playing. You can probably see just about see the lights lighting up on there. So I'm now sending MIDI from here into Bitwig. Bitwig sending the MIDI out to the synth, and then the synth audio is coming out from here and going into my mixer. And from here, I can now do whatever I want with that input, which is lovely. So let's just name it so I know what it is. So name is going to be, what color? Oh, that thing's green, so let's make it green. Synth. It's a synth. Beautiful. And actually, I'm going to yeah, why not? There's a synth. Look. I can use a synth here, and I can go on my quick channel. So I can make a bright sound. I mean, this is, I've not picked the best sound. But if I want to record something in on Bitwig, let's just record something in so I can loop it and then show you some sound stuff. I can just stop that a minute. Beautiful, beautiful music. Yeah. And click there. And that is an absolute masterpiece. Yeah, so I was literally just hitting the keyboard. Let's turn that up. Turn that up. All right. So now all I'm doing now is that I can mess around with this because I've got the MIDI recorded over here and it's just playing back through here. I can mess around with these and I can change the sound. And I can get all kinds of wacky sounds if I really want to. But I am going to stop that because if you can hear that, it's awful. Okay, so I can do that and I can have hardware, external instruments, and I can mix them with the internal instruments. One of the things that's really powerful with Bitwig as well that I wanted to share with you quickly is modulation. So they're pretty big on the modulation. So if I go back to Polymer that we looked at earlier, I can, down here, I've got, this is my modulation wheel, but I can add in something. So I can say, okay, this is, in fact, no, I'll show you this bit first. So this little thing here, I can say, okay, this, I've got it selected. So as I'm playing it, this is staying as is. This is my filter. But what I can do is say, I want that to affect that by that amount. So I'm just clicking and dragging. Now, and affect it by a relative amount. What I can also do, I'm going to use this in wavetable. Yeah. So if you haven't done wavetable stuff, it's amazing fun. And it'll just blend through those wavetables. Let's see what else we got in here. Actually, no, the standard 4 is easier to see what's going on, I reckon. So I'm going to put in an LFO, and then I can get that LFO to affect this one. Cool. All right, so as I play, if you can hear that, that is now modulating the index on the wavetable. But I could have that modulate all kinds of things. So I could have it modulating the attack. That's not a nice thing to modulate, but I'm going to do it anyway. There we go. So pretty much the idea is you can get super, super wacky. So yeah, lots and lots of fun there. Loads of effects built in, loads of synths built in. You can record loads of audio, and you can layer that up as well. So I know you saw you can't do like all of the tracks. You couldn't record all the tracks. Of course, what you could do is record all of them to SD card directly. So if you are having a jam where you want to record 16 channels and then you want to take it into Bitwig to mix or mess with, you can absolutely do that. You just drag and drop them in. It will take those standard WAV files, play them back as normal. But what you could also do is send stuff to auxes. So you could send things in the CQ out to auxes, send those or outputs, the independent outputs, send those to USB and send them into Bitwig. So really quickly, you could just go send that and record it, send that and record it. And you could record the effects from the CQ. You could record basically anything you got plugged into the CQ, you can record. So I don't know if anybody's got any questions. I should have said at the beginning, if you do have any questions about this setup, let me know. But that's most of what I wanted to show you today. So if you didn't join us at the beginning, this is Bitwig Essentials that I'm showing set up with CQ. And for the month of October, so you've got 2 weeks left, you can get Bitwig Essentials absolutely free by registering your CQ and then filling out a small survey. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Just register your CQ, fill out a little survey, and then you get $99 or 99 euros worth of software absolutely free. Wow, amazing, Keith. I know, it's pretty good. All right, so I can't see any questions. I don't know if there have been any. This will be your last couple of minutes. I'll try and show you one more thing, which will be how to apply effects to things. And then I'll wrap up. So what we're going to do is go back to CQ, and I'm going to apply, which way around should I do this actually? I'm going to apply Bitwig effects to the synth that I've got plugged in. So actually it's really, really easy to do this because on the hardware instrument, I can just add an effect. Because that return is coming from the synth there, I can just add effects to it. But because I'm listening to it live here, if you like, straight through the mixer, so there's absolutely no latency. Say absolutely no latency. There's 0.7 milliseconds latency, which, yeah, huge amount. Not. But what I can do is get rid of that. So instead of that sending out this way, I'm going to not be sending it here. So I'm not listening to that live signal. And then instead on Bitwig, I'm going to send it back here. So my output, instead of going to that master, I'm going to send it to stereo at 5, actually. No, so yeah, stereo at 5. Okay, so now on the mixer, I can't hear anything because it's coming through here, but I'm not sending it to my left right. However, on 7 and 8, which is being sourced from USB 7 and 8, I am getting that sound back through with the reverb. So there we go. And then I could send that to even more reverb within the CQ. Because you can never get enough reverb. And also I can send this out to individual outputs. So one of the other things which I didn't really mention is if you're jamming with other people, they can all have their own separate mix. So on the CQ, I could set up my outputs and say that A at the moment is listen, which is what you guys are hearing, if you can hear it. But I could set that up to be out 1 and 2. In fact, let's just pair these up a minute. There we go. And then I could say that A is going to be at 1 and 2, and B is going to be at 3 and 4. And that way, if you've got two people jamming with a CQ18T, they can both have separate mixes entirely. So it's another benefit here of having everything coming into the mixer is that you could hook up your... Sorry, I'm just going to get a quick swig of water. If you've got everything hooked up here and you download CQ for You, both people can have independent control of their mixes from an app at any time. Or if you're producing stuff with somebody and let's say you've got a singer in, for example, and they want to sing along to the stuff that you're producing, they could have control. You could send individual outputs out to the mixer and give them control from an app wirelessly straight to the mixer, control of what they're hearing. So that way, instead of them like, oh, turn this up a bit or turn that down a bit or whatever, they can just control it all themselves until they're happy and giving it their best, basically. So at this point, with you guys are hearing A, so you're hearing mix 1 and 2, I could then say, okay, I want to send that to 1 and 2. Pretty cool. All right. Vez says, how do we get the survey and Bitwig if we are already registered? If you're already registered and you signed up for emails, you should have received a link to the survey already. So do check your spam or anything. Just check through, look for messages from Alan Heath. If you haven't received that or you haven't signed up for emails previously, then just contact us through support.alan-heath.com or by emailing support@alan-heath.com, and we can look into that for you. So we can send you out the email with the link to the survey manually. It's definitely worth it. Cool. All right. I am going to wrap up. 27 Mal 5 says, hi, Keith. Nice to see you. Nice to see you too. You've just missed me, I'm afraid. But you can go back and watch this again. And like I say, you've got 2 weeks, if you've got a CQ, to go and grab a free copy of Bitwig Studio Essentials. Go grab it and have fun. And I'll see you next time. See you later.